Hey teachers, do you sell on Teachers Pay Teachers? Would you like to make more sales? Of course you would. We all would. Welcome to the SEOTpreneur channel. My name is Mike Fuchigami. I'm your host. And today my question for you is, what kind of TPT seller are you? Are you a tadpole, a hamster, or a hawk? Nothing wrong with being any of those. You might be a mix of all three, but which one are you right now? Check this out. All right, so in this video, I'm going to explain 3 different types of TPT sellers. Nothing wrong with being a tadpole, a hamster, or a hawk, just different parts of the journey. And I'm curious to know what kind of TPT seller you are so I can create content for you. So what is an SEOTpreneur? Great question. An SEOTpreneur is a teacherpreneur who has an SEOT mindset. Okay, well, what's an SEOT mindset? SEOT is a framework I use to explain to students how to work smarter, not harder. So SEOT is an acronym. It stands for strategy, effort, optimize, tinker. And it's basically, sometimes, you know, that student who's trying to improve and they put in the effort and they work really hard, they're not getting the results they want. And then someone says, oh, you've got to work smarter. Well, what does that actually mean? Well, I have a free slideshow. I'll put a link in the YouTube description, but basically, it explains in a graphic organizer how to work smarter, right? So the TPT teacherpreneur example of this would be, I'm creating content constantly and I feel trapped. Like if I don't produce more content, I won't get more sales, right? And I'm constantly putting in this effort. I'm trying to make more sales because I think that if I have more products, then I'll get more sales. And that makes intuitive sense, right? Like the more you have, the more likely you can sell more. But sometimes more effort isn't the solution, right? So an SEOTpreneur or someone with an SEOT mindset might be, okay, effort alone isn't going to get me there. What strategies can I try differently, right? Or what can I optimize? What numbers can I look at to figure out, well, you know what, this is actually working really well and this is not. Hey, Mike, you know that 20-hour project a week that you're working on to create content that no one's buying? Is that really the best use of your time? Yeah, okay. So optimizing is where your gut says one thing, but the numbers say something else. And what do you do then, right? And then tinkering is this idea of, well, you know what, I'm going to try something new. It may or may not work, but let's just see what happens. And who knows, right? Maybe it'll be a huge success. So by using an SEOT approach, we can help students overcome problems, challenges, adapt to the crazy world that we live in. And as teachers, we gain firsthand practical experience in a 21st century problem because there's no right way to sell on TPT in the same way that, you know, there's no right way to solve some of the world's biggest problems in the world, which we need our students to do in the future, right? So that's what an SEOTpreneur is, a teacherpreneur who is looking at the challenge of selling on TPT or whatever else obstacle in their life through an SEOT framework. What kind of TPT seller are you? Okay, if you are at the start of your TPT journey, and there's a wide range of people, right? We all have to be beginners at some point, and maybe, you know, we can be along our journey, but we're still learning new things. Okay, but if you're at the beginning of your journey, then I want you to help shape the content of this channel by leaving a comment with the word tadpole, right? So you're a tadpole, you're just swimming around, you're trying to figure out your legs. See what I did there? You're trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. Maybe you've got your first sale. Maybe you don't have your first sale yet, right? And so you're just trying to figure things out. And an example of a content piece that I might make for tadpoles would be something like, wow, like how do you get those covers? Where does everyone get these covers for on their TPT store? Or how did you get an animation there in this leaderboard thing? Or, you know what, I have a quote on my store here, but your quote is written in red font and mine is just in plain black font. How did you do that? Right? So those are great questions that I would do for a tadpole audience, right? Maybe you're past that stage and you know those kinds of things and you've started to create some content, you're getting some sales and you want to sort of tweak things. Write the word hamster because like me, we're on this hamster wheel where we're constantly running and trying to create content. And we feel like if we stop creating content, then everything will fall apart, right? So an example of a hamster question might be, Do I really need to use UTMs? Like, what's that UTM stuff all about? And how does that actually help me, right? Or how can I look at the data that I have in my sales? If I go to my dashboard, how do I use this data for my entire store over time to figure out which products are converting and which ones aren't, and where maybe I should spend some time tweaking and where maybe I should just sort of give things up and move in a different direction? So those are great hamster questions. If you're at that stage of the game, write the word hamster. Or you might be past that. You might be a hawk. You might be making millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars or 10,000s of dollars. But a hawk is someone who is flying high. They've seen the top of the mountain. They've got there. Maybe they're coasting on some thermals. They've trying to become more efficient, right? And they're constantly learning the game because things constantly change in the real world and the TPT world. So an example of a hawk question might be something like, hey, Mike, what are you using for your customer relationship management software, right? So how do you keep track of a comment? If someone leaves a review, how can you keep track of all the other reviews that person has left? And maybe, can you check to see what emails you've sent them in the past, or if they've opened the email marketing list that you have, or have they purchased any products? What are you using for your CRM, right? So those are examples of a hawk kind of question. Or another example of a question that might be all levels is, I've heard TPT is changing the way that they do search algorithms. What does that mean for me? And what should I do to protect myself? Great question. So anyways, SEOTpreneur is a place for us where we can chat about some of these things that you have on your mind. Do I have all the answers? 100% no. Do I make millions of dollars? Absolutely not. Am I going to make mistakes? 100% yes. Will I agree with everything that the people in your Facebook groups talk about? No, probably not, right? But that's okay, because what works for me may not work for you, and what works for someone doesn't work for everyone all of the time. And the point of being in an SEOT mindset, both for students and for teachers, is this idea that we're constantly learning, right? We're trying to maintain that growth mindset and comparing information to make informed decisions about what's right for our store, and hopefully have a little fun along the way. All right, so recap. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Give this video a like. Leave a comment with the word tadpole, hamster, or hawk, depending on where you're at in the game. You might be all three. And more importantly, if you like the stuff in this channel, make sure you like and comment and thumbs up the videos that relate to you, so I know to make more content like that. All right, we'll see you next time. Have a great one. Bye-bye. All right, let's try this out. Let's try this out. Let's try this out. Okay. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to say here.